Welcome back to Beauty Uncovered by Olaplex. My name is Danielle Frank and I'm your host. So today we're going to talk a little bit about skincare. I happen to have a friend, his name is Reuben Carranza, and he is the CEO of Kate Somerville. Now, yes, that happens to be one of my favorite skincare lines. And so, of course, I was going to call him up and ask him to hop on here and give us a little bit of the scoop of what we should be looking at when a skincare line says, hey, we got clinicals. Hey, we got the right ingredients. We have the science. We work with professionals. It's a lot of things that companies say, but what does it really mean? Also, we're going to talk about what's appropriate for all of us because, we're all still learning it. I still say I'm a relatively novice to the skincare practice, but I'm learning every single day, just like all of you. So we're going to have a conversation about that. And also we're going to dive into some of the things that are really the passion I know of Reuben and also of Kate Somerville, and that is really giving back. They're going to talk a little bit about their affiliation with Foster Nation, Beauty Changes Lives, and how they are trying to make a huge difference in the lives of kids that are aging out of foster care and have no place to go. So it is a very impactful conversation, and let's tune in. Reuben, I have been anticipating this conversation for weeks now because anytime I get to talk to Reuben Carranza, it's a good day. How are you?
I am great. And Danielle, I have to tell you, I've been equally as excited about being able to spend time with you. I'm so proud of what you're doing and what the Olaplex team is doing. It's just so amazing to see the continued momentum, and you guys are kicking butt. So I'm so excited.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, we all love you here. And I feel like we have so much to talk about because
Yeah.
you are working with Kate Somerville, which is, I'm going to be honest with you, that is my go-to product. And I'm not just saying that, everybody, like, admittedly, the first time I use it, Dustin, who
Mm-hmm.
you know well, he's like, oh, you got to try this. So I wind up getting it and absolutely fell in love. It transformed my skin. And then, of course, you get to the end and you have these other products. I'm like, oh, I'll use these products and they're good. But I like within a few weeks, I'm like, I have to go back and get more. And so, yeah, that's my cycle. I have these products that I bought some time ago. I have to probably throw them out at this point. So I get to the end of the Kate Somerville, like, oh, I'll just use this for now. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I have to go back.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I love it.
Love it.
Well, Danielle, you're a connoisseur and an appreciation that when you find a product that works, right, like Olaplex, then if it delivers on the first promise, which is it's going to do what it says it's going to do, then you're part of that. So I'm so happy.
It's so funny because even sometimes when we use products, and this is with any product that's out there, we get accustomed to the fabulous results.
Mm-hmm.
And then we switch to something else. And then you go, wait a second, this is not the same fabulous results I was getting. And then
Right.
you have to backtrack.
That's right.
I've learned my lesson very quickly. It is amazing. So, tell me a little bit about your journey with Kate Somerville, because you have run the gamut of obviously working in the professional hair care with Wella and going through all these different companies, as well as Olaplex. And then now you're doing with skincare with Kate Somerville, which is I was so excited when I heard this.
Thank you. I'm a son of a hairdresser, so I feels like I've been in the salon business, from the time that I could walk and sweep hair, right, and wash towels in my mom's salon. But I first really started to understand and get an interest in skincare. It was probably 2009, 2010 when I was still with Wella, and I was part of the acquisition team that acquired Nioxin hair care.
Oh.
And that was where I really went deep on the science related to scalp care and the importance of scalp care, and really kind of opened my mind to, we segment skin and hair, but the reality of it is it's all one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always had an interest in skin. And it was a great opportunity to come and work in a brand that is really rooted in clinical skincare, but also driven from a clinic that's actually seeing patients, right? And I think that was what was really intriguing for me and really exciting. Kate, the founder, was one of the first estheticians who created medical esthetician, right? So she was the first to bring lasers into a treatment room. And so our clinic on Melrose Place, we've got 27 employees. Half of them are estheticians. The other half are nurse practitioners and nurses. And we do everything from facials and transformations on the facial side to, Botox and inject lip fillers and threads and, lasers and all to help people feel great about their skin. So yeah, that's why I'm excited about skincare.
I absolutely love that. And, when it comes to skincare, I mean, I feel like I'm virtually a novice when it comes to it. I learned a lot in the past year, but I want to talk a little bit more about the clinicals, because I do think that's really important, and really understanding as a layman, what does that all mean? Like when a person say, well, clinically proven, what does that all mean?
So it depends. There's multiple layers to it, right? And so I'll start at least on the way that we define it, right? So for us, because a lot of our products are born out of the treatments that we're doing with real patients in the clinic, it always starts first with that's the foundation. Does it are we able to create formulations that are able to do what we say they're going to do, right? And one of the differentiations for us is kind of what made Kate famous, and kind of all the celebrities that are part of the clinic came through us through makeup artists. Because one of the things that Kate was kind of known for, and we're still known for, is we can deliver transformations without any downtime. So makeup artists were bringing these young actresses and now these young Instagrammers who need to go off and capture the LA sun and do their photo shoots. They can come in and do a facial or use some of the products and not have redness, puffiness, those kinds of things. So it's really, kind of clinicals for us was really about, does it work with patients on the table? As the brand got bigger and as brands get bigger, if you want to make claims in advertising, then there's a whole series of legal requirements that force you to have the right sample sizes with very specific measurements, etc. And so what we do is we, for some of the FDA approved products, we obviously have to follow those protocols. But for us, it's really around a large enough sample size where we can make those claims and also support them from a legal standpoint.
So when it comes to the layman, that is just like looking at everything and saying, oh, clinically proven to do X, Y, and Z. I'm assuming that really does stem from the FDA approved ones, correct?
Not necessarily.
Or it depends.
Not necessarily FDA, but it's basically we could support those legally.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. How do you make a decision on what you're going to test for?
Oh my gosh. That could be a 3-hour podcast, Danielle. I think it all. So we kind of look at our franchises based on kind of skin concerns and what's needed to deliver on the skin concerns, right? So we just had some new products in the first half of this year in our acne franchise, and so acne tends to be a category that doesn't have a lot of innovation. It has some, but not a lot, because if you've got a blemish, you want to get rid of the blemish. You want the fire hose on it so that it's gone and you're not having to deal with it. But as you age and as we deal with microbials and the balancing of hormones and menopausal skin, right? You can have breakouts later in your life stage. Then everybody thinks it's a teenage thing. Well, no, you actually can have those things happen over time, right? So there's a whole series of elements that we formulate to deal with blemishes, right? Whether it's you need the fire hydrant to get rid of it like in an hour, or if it's something that you've got sensitive skin.
Can you get rid of it in an hour?
You can.
Shut the front door.
If you have a blemish, yeah. Our eradicate, we...
My boys will be very excited.
Girlfriend, if you haven't gotten one, I'm going to send you one because they need it. Wolf needs it. Doesn't need it, but if he needs it, he's got it, right?
I know, right?
Yeah. So we formulate based on skin concern, and all with the intention of you've got tools in your arsenal, depending on what you're dealing with skin, right? So if you never have blemishes, or if you don't have any irritation, but you go out in the sun and you burn your skin, we've got products that can help you for that, right? But those products are also formulated to repair the barrier of the skin. So the reason we created, it's our line called Delicate, it's great for sunburns. But the reason we created it was when a client goes through and does lasers, you're disrupting the barrier of the skin. And then many times you've got redness and you've got sensitivity. So it's intended to calm the skin barrier, right?
So it takes down the inflammation.
Correct. And it alleviates the irritation, and it allows your skin to heal.
I definitely feel like when it comes to, and okay, so full disclosure to all of our listeners, before we came on here, I was explaining to them that I had never gone for a facial. That is a true story. I like doing my skincare at home, but admittedly, I've never gone for a facial. But one of the things that I have often heard, especially with lasers and whatnot, there's a big time recovery, right? I mean, are those kind of products, or these are things that are going to kind of reduce that time?
They are, and it depends the kind of invasive procedures that you do, right, with lasers. So you can have everything from blue light, red light, which is really penetrating your skin and helping stimulate the regeneration. There's not a lot of downtime with that. In fact, there's not a lot of redness. There's not a lot of irritability. All the way to the most invasive, which you're actually, needles in the skin that's actually injecting into the skin, which can provide some downtime. But I think, again, it's always about the best thing that you can do. So by the way, you have incredible skin, having never had a facial. And there's fundamentals that you can do no matter who you are, right? If you're washing your skin, if you're rinsing your face, ideally twice a day when you get up and when you go to sleep.
Interesting.
You're using sunscreen, right? Which is
not as much. I admittedly tend to get products like makeup products and whatnot that have a sunscreen in it.
That have an SPF.
Probably not enough.
That's okay. At least it's better than nothing.
True.
Right. And if you're cleansing your skin,
but I don't go out in the sun. You would think I would.
There you go. That's why.
Yeah.
Sun damage is one of the worst things that you can do. Right. But keeping your skin clean and then moisturize when it's hot, when it's dry, are the things that really help kind of keep your skin going. Kate, our founder, always talks about, if you think about your skin like a leather belt, right? Mm-hmm. If the more that your skin gets dry, the more that you see the flakes and the cracks. But if you can keep that leather moisturized and hydrated and you have a barrier over it, it'll stay shiny and new and plump. And that's how you think about your skin. So get the stuff off of it, protect it from the sun, keep it moisturized, and you'll be great.
Now, speaking of Kate, I was reading a little bit about her experience growing up, and that she was on a farm and that she had a lot of skin issues. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming this is what was the catalyst to where she was going with skincare.
I think so she has horrible eczema, and she's always suffered from eczema. And so I think she's always been one of the reasons why she went into the field was she knew what it was like to be uncomfortable in your skin 24/7, right? And knew firsthand the power of being able to have good skin that you felt comfortable in, and the power of having good skin, what that does to your self-confidence. She ended up in the aesthetics field, quite honestly, through a whole series of events. She never thought she was going to be an esthetician, but it was a place where she saw that she could make a difference, and that as a woman entrepreneur, she knew that she could actually have an opportunity to build a business.
So I know that you've always been very rooted in making sure that the professional is represented. I mean, the fact that you have been, part of the PBA, City of Hope, of course, but you've been on the board of directors of Beauty Changes Lives. I mean, it's your dedication is really well known. So when it came to coming into this particular field and this particular company, I know that you were speaking of the fact that you were really excited about the fact that there were professionals involved. Mm-hmm. Do they have an entire line that is professional by Kate Somerville that is not for the public?
So interesting question. We don't have a professional only segment in our lineup, but we're in about 1,000 spas and salons around the country, right? So estheticians are using our products as a part of their treatment protocols. And as an example, we're in over a dozen Nordstrom spas with branded Kate Somerville signature facials, where we've trained the Nordstrom spa personnel to actually do them. Because there is a protocol, right? It's like it's like any great colorist in the hair business, right? You can go to two different hairdressers, and depending on how they prep the hair, treat the hair, deal with the take home, you can have vastly different results, right? Same thing with skincare. So yeah, we embrace the professionals, and Kate does a lot of mentorship and a lot of coaching with estheticians.
I love that. I love that. Because it's always great to support the professionals whenever you can.
Absolutely.
Now, for any of our listeners that are listening about Kate Somerville and they're interested, they've never used it before, how would they dive into this? Because I mean, obviously, this has always been like kind of the challenge with me as well. And again, I've always been very lucky because, like I said, Dustin, aside from being a hairdresser, is also an esthetician. I'm like, yay! So one of the things that I always am unsure about is that if I look at a particular line or a company, and you're hearing such great things about it, where do I start? Where do I dive into? Now, for me now, and I'm older, it's a little bit easier to kind of go, okay, I got to find something that might take care of maybe some aging skin. But for a lot of people, it's hard. You know, you're like, ooh, oily skin, dry skin, you know, what am I supposed to be getting?
So I think, that's a really interesting question, Danielle, because it can be very overwhelming, right? So I think what I would be counseling is two things. One is, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get yourself a little base of understanding around what are ingredients in skincare. And there's multiple places you can go to do that. There's an influencer. She's an esthetician, and she's kind of a force to be reckoned with out of the UK. Her name is Carolyn Hirons. She just published a book called Skincare. But Carolyn, on her blogs and on her website and on her Instagram lives and on her Facebook, you can go into those. And there's a repository of information, right? So you need to probably understand what are retinols and what do they do? What are AHAs and BHAs and what do they do? What is collagen and the role that it plays, right? So just some fundamental understanding. Hyaluronic acid, and why would you use that? Vitamin C, and when would you use that? And I would say it's a good 60 minutes of just trying to get a lay of the land of what these ingredients are, because you'll see them across all different things. The second thing is, if you have a brand you're interested in, I would say one of the things I'm so proud of is the company that we keep in the skincare business has done a really nice job. So any brand, including ours, you can go to the brand website and you can typically get a very good feel for what's the philosophy of the brand and how they develop their products. And then depending on the product ranges, they will typically structure the conversation related to either skin concerns or franchises and what those franchises are intended to do, right? So you can get a very good understanding on the brands if you understand what it is that the ingredients do, okay? And then once you've done that, it really is about, what are you looking for, right? Some people just want, hey, I've got fine lines and I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Others are like, you know what? I've got major acne. I've got menopausal acne now. What am I going to do with that? So it just depends on what your skin concern is. The last comment I was going to make is the reason I think it's important to understand the ingredients is one of the things that's happened in the democratization of skincare is that you have the range, right? So some of your more higher priced brands like ours, like a Dermalogica, like a Murad, like a Tatcha, like a Dr. Sturm, right? You're paying for formulations that have multiple ingredients that will target particular concerns, but also won't create more damage, okay? On the other end of the spectrum, you can go and buy BHAs and AHAs and, various peptides with different levels of concentration, and they'll be significantly less expensive. You can pay $9 for something like that and try to cocktail those things yourself. The likelihood of creating damage is much higher when you're trying to cocktail it than if you're buying formulations.
So what kind of damage could a person do?
You can burn your skin off.
Oof.
Right? Like if you're using, vitamin C as an example and that retinol,
I've heard. Yeah.
Right. And you're going into the sun, bar the door, Katie, you can do some serious damage. Some of the acids can do some serious damage as well if you don't know how to use them and what not to use them with, right? And so the reason I say that is it's fundamentally if you're going to be entering into the world of skincare, you've got to understand what some of these kind of core ingredients are and what they do, what they're used for, and what you don't cocktail with. And it's going to sound horrible when I say this. Don't rely on a TikToker to tell you what that is, or don't rely on an influencer necessarily.
The TikTokers.
I love them too. And there's some great TikTokers, but what I'm saying is when you're building your fundamental knowledge, go to some trusted sources and then see what these folks are talking about, right?
Actually, I have to admit, Joey, my second son, not long ago, actually combined two different skincare products. Completely innocent, didn't really think anything of it. And all of a sudden he comes out and I'm like, do you have welts on your face? Like, what's going on? He literally had welts on his neck. I mean, luckily it was gone within a few hours. But it was like one of those moments I'm like, okay, you need to like jump in the shower right now, kid. Just scrub it all away.
Yeah, you can create some damage.
I forgot about that. That was only a couple of weeks ago too. But yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you are mixing certain things together. And it was, like I said, completely innocent. It was like, oh, this just makes sense, you know?
Of course.
So when it comes to, again, some of the brands out there like Kate Somerville, I know that you put a lot of investment, obviously, on the chemistry, the science and whatnot. What do you feel that is different about what you all do than, say, any other brand?
I think
when it comes to the science and technology and everything, because I do think it's incredibly important for people to understand the innovation that does come from having people with scientific background really working on this.
Sure, absolutely. I think so for Kate Somerville, what differentiates us is really a couple of very specific things, right? All of our products that we make available outside of a clinic environment are formulated based on needs that we've seen in the treatment room on the table, either through aesthetics or medical procedures, right? And so that knowledge of real people leads to opportunities to create products that a consumer can use at home. And that's kind of, so the clinical based innovation is one of the things that we are very proud of, and that kind of creates the opportunities. The second thing for us is it's this philosophy of, transformational results with no downtime. Now, some of the products require some downtime, but it's really this idea of, we don't want you to be like, do you remember Carrie in Sex and the City when she got a major facial when Carrie was doing her book launch and she had to show up in the little veil because her skin was all red?
I remember that one. I never saw every single. I
Danielle.
I know.
Danielle, we got to watch this together. So
I know.
She got a chemical peel. So she had to show up at this event with with her face covered because her friend was all red. That's downtime, right? That typically takes a week for the skin to rejuvenate and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I forgot. You know what? I'm going to be candid with you. I just realized Dustin once did a chemical peel on me. A long time ago. It was a long time ago, because here's the thing, the downtime on that takes a hot second. And, I'm doing podcasts and stuff. It's hard to find that time.
Hey, you're on QVC and you're doing podcasts, lady. You're out there. Yeah. So those are the two things, right? Clinical based and minimizing downtime.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I love it. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the really great things that Kate Somerville, the company, is doing for foster kids or kids coming out of foster kids, because we had talked about this before. It's very near and dear in my family's heart, because my sister is a CEO of an organization that deals with foster families. But in this particular case, you're helping these kids that are aging out, because really they don't have a lot of resources.
That's right. Danielle, so one of the things that has kept me in the beauty industry for 30 years is that this is an incredible industry that gives so much and cares so much. And I think you remember me talking about this when we were together, that half of the US population is touched by a licensed from beauty professional, either a hairdresser, a barber, a colorist, a massage therapist, a makeup artist, or a nail technician. At least one in half of the US population is touched by one of those individuals every single day, right? So it's that focus around giving back that has been such an important piece of our industry. It's also what really, 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 really attracted me to working with Kate, because she's always had this belief of it's not about us, we got to make the world better. Mm-hmm. This issue with foster children is probably the single biggest unarticulated. We're not talking enough about what's happening with foster youth, right? And so 1 in 5 children grow up in a home that's been impacted by either alcohol or drugs. 1 in 3 kids enter into the foster care system every year and are there because of some kind of parental substance abuse. There's over 26,000 foster youth that age out of the system, the foster system, every year with little or no resources or help. So when a young adult is in the foster system and they turn 18, they age out of the system. In many instances, they're given a backpack or, in the best case scenarios, or a trash bag with their belongings, a list of shelters and places they can contact, and they are on their own. Okay.
Wow.
24% of those of those young adults don't have a high school diploma. 1 in 5 are going to be homeless after the age of 18, and more than half report zero wages in the first 4 years after they leave the system. Okay. These are not dumb people. These are not unambitious individuals. These are young adults who have been through a foster system, and they're looking for mentorship. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for someone to tell them or give them some guidance around how they can actually create a meaningful, kind of career and take care of themselves. And what better thing than the beauty industry, right? Mm. We are an industry that has and welcomes individuals. And you can be anything you want to be if you understand and make a choice that, hey, I can actually do something here. So we partnered with Foster Nation, which is it's the biggest nonprofit organization that really works with these youth that are aging out of the system. And it's, as Kate says, it's not a campaign; it's a commitment. And so what we're doing is we've done 6-figure donations on an annual basis to do both mentorship and sponsorship. We're working with Beauty Changes Lives on scholarships. So we're awarding scholarships to foster youth to go to beauty school, to be estheticians or hairdressers or makeup artists, because we believe they have the potential to do amazing things in this industry. And and it's taken on a life of its own. We will have in May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, we did a art competition for foster youth in LA. And we had over 60 submissions. And the brief was very simple. We want you to draw kind of your interpretation of what you believe, kind of what your experience has been being a foster child, and tell us why you're drawing this experience. We picked one of the pieces of art, unbelievable, that's going to be on our packaging on our hero product, Exfoliate, in May, in honor of Foster Awareness Month. And we're looking to actually get a couple of galleries to support some of the other art, because it's really been amazing. And so,
wow.
So that's what we're doing. And what we're hoping to do is we're hoping to have this become a conversation that happens in the beauty industry, right? Yes. Because many of these folks, all they're looking for is, I never thought I could do that, right? We always hear, go to college, go do that. But in many instances, nobody's saying to them, you can build a 6-figure income by being a hairdresser, by being an esthetician, and going to beauty school. You can work at Sephora, you can work at Ulta. Like, there are so many opportunities in our industry, and that's what we're trying to do with foster youth.
I think I even told you at one point that, when I was 16, I wanted to be a hairdresser, and my mother told me, good girls aren't hairdressers. So I wasn't allowed to. Bless her heart. Yeah. Bless her heart. But, eventually I got my way, not until I was much older, but no, it is an incredible field to get into. And there is nothing more empowering than feeling like you can make a difference in the person that's sitting in front of you, in their lives. And I have to go back to some of the stats that you were talking about, because it moves me, because I mean, granted, I sometimes think maybe it's my age, but I think 18 years old and we're talking young adults, and I'm like, they're kids.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
kids. I mean, they're still trying to figure out, like, you know, everything in life. And that is so heartbreaking to think that,
Absolutely.
here they've gone through all this heartbreak in their lives and are
Right.
separated from their families for whatever reason.
Right.
And then all of a sudden say, okay, sink or swim, kid.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't fathom it. I mean, when I was younger, yeah, you heard a lot of kids at 18. We were like going out, getting our apartments, this, that, and that. But I don't know. It just seems like a different world now.
Yeah, it is.
There's not
it's a
as many
different world.
opportunities at 18.
Right. Right. And, I don't feel out of school by sharing this because Kate has been very open about talking about this. But, one of the questions that we've gotten was why focus on foster, right? Because Kate wasn't a foster child. And Kate was very open about this. Her mom and dad split when she was in her early teens. Her mom was a drug addicted and an alcoholic. Her dad remarried. The stepmother didn't want Kate in the house. So at 16, she had a backpack and she was couch surfing. And so she lived that experience of going from place to place without any foundation, right? And it was the mother of a boyfriend who said to her, "What are you doing with your life?" This woman had stage 4 cancer, and Kate was couch surfing on her couch. And she said, "Listen, you're smart. You can make anything you want. Your mom's life, it doesn't have to be your life. You can make that decision." And that's what was the impetus for Kate to say, you know what do I want to do? I'm going to go to beauty school. I'm going to be an esthetician. And she talks about that because as we thought about those individuals who just need an arm on the shoulder that says, you may never have thought about this. Here's what this looks like. Here's some opportunities to go explore what that might look like. That's all that most of these kids need. Right. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. We're really excited with partnering with Beauty Changes Lives on the scholarship part, because it's also giving us the ability to introduce a lot of the foster kids who may not be the 3 finalists in the Kate Somerville scholarship. They're offering scholarships on multiple avenues. Right. And so it's all about how do we keep bringing in this talent into the industry that you and I and the people on both of our businesses love, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like when I hear stories like Kate's, and I think it's so wonderful for other kids to hear this. I've always said that a person can turn their lives on a dime.
Correct.
Regardless of what their background or their situation has been.
Right.
Not easy.
Right.
And it's certainly a lot more doable when you have support and help.
That's right.
So when it comes to our listeners, when it comes to all that you're doing and Beauty Changes Lives, and what can the average person do to maybe help contribute to giving some people some leg up, some of these kids?
I love that question. So there's a couple of pieces, and I'll make sure you have all the right details so we can share with your listeners. If you want to find out more about foster and the foster situation and how you support foster kids who are aging out of the system, you can go to www.fosternation.com, and that will give you a good insight into this amazing organization that is doing a lot of this work. You can also, we have links, and you can find it on our katesomerville.com, our brand website. We have a landing page that talks about what we're doing with foster and a lot of links to be able to get more information across the country on where you can actually play a role. If you're in the UK, because I know our Olaplex family is international, we've partnered in the UK with an organization called Become, or B, that also is doing similar kinds of work, and we're offering scholarships there. And yeah, you can also find us on social media and on Instagram, on Facebook, because we're talking a lot about the foster kids. But we're about to announce our 3 winners who are going to be going to beauty school. We should be announcing that shortly. And then, as I mentioned, our iconic Kate Somerville Intensive Exfoliate will have the artwork in May across all the Sephoras and our own Kate Somerville website that has the artwork from this foster artist.
Where's the announcement going to be made?
We're going to announce it. So it'll come out through Beauty Changes Lives. They'll make
Okay.
the press announcements. We'll announce that in our own social and digital places. And then I think you'll see some of that in Sephora.
That is so exciting.
Isn't it exciting?
I can't wait to look forward. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see it. And then I feel like I have to buy it so
Yes,
I
you
can
do.
have it because it'll be so pretty. I'm excited. Reuben, I'm like so happy that you came on today. You, like I said, I always love when I get to talk to you. I have to come visit you out in California sometime.
Anytime, Danielle. And listen, thank you for letting me have some time to share with your great audience, what we think is so special about Foster Nation. And we're so grateful to be part of an industry that is the industry we share, right? It's about making people feel good every day. And supporting those who make that transformation happen, our professionals, right? So I'm just honored and blessed, and whatever I can do to help, I'm happy to do it. And I'm just excited. I can't wait to get you on the table with the facial.
Okay, but you're gonna have to tell them what to do, because I'll be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Like any great hairdresser, our estheticians and our nurses will do a consultation.
I will leave it to the professionals. I'll trust the professionals, and I'll have Dustin whispering in my ear going, no.
Exactly. Do me a favor.
All right, have a great one.
Give my entire Olaplex family a big hug and a kiss from me, okay? And thank you for the opportunity.
Always. Thank you.
All right. Good to see you, Danielle.